এতিয়া শুনা পাইছা? আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে। মানুহকে Swet sir, can you hear us? Sir, can you
Hello.
hear us?
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Miss Imshiksa. Yeah. Good evening. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah. Just hold on. I'm just owning my mic
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah. Good evening. Yes, I can. I'm logging.
Rahul sir has joined us.
He's joining in 5 minutes. Actually, he's having some trouble in. Actually, he's just traveling back to his
Okay,
place.
okay, not a problem, not a
So
problem.
actually,
We'll
the
just
time
wait
dif-
for five
he's
more
having
minutes
a.
and
We
then.
have a time difference. So in just half past, I had given you like half past 11 in his timing. So he'll be there back in 4 minutes. He'll be joining
Okay,
us.
not a problem, sir.
So
So we'll wait for another 5 minutes and
yeah,
then
yeah,
we'll
sure, sure,
start.
sure, sure. Definitely, we
Okay.
can join. Definitely.
Sir, Mr. Rahul has joined us.
Yes. Yes. Hi. Rahul is there. Mr. Rahul Lakshman is there. I
Okay,
think.
okay, okay. So we'll
Sure.
just start.
Yes.
Ankur will start with it.
Yes. Please, you can start. So you can initiate the moderate the session. Then I can introduce Mr. Rahul also out there also that in
Okay,
our
okay.
session.
Sure, I'll do that, sir. Ankur, শুনা পাইছা তুমি? Good evening, everyone, for joining us today. I, on behalf of entire Editio fraternity, welcome our two guest speaker for the evening, Mr. Swed Laskar and Mr. Rahul Lakshman. Mr. Rahul Lakshman is the co-founder of Admissify Edutech Private Limited, currently located in London, UK. Mr. Lakshman holds a diploma in international relations, government psychology, and society from University of Westminster, and he also holds a bachelor in biomedical engineering and business management from Queen Mary University of London. Mr. Swed Musaffar Laskar looks after the regional admission and operations of Admissify Edutech Limited and is from Guwahati, Assam. He completed his bachelor's in IT from Sikkim Manipal Institute of Technology, Sikkim, and further completed his MS in Information Systems and Business Management from University of Huddersfield, UK. He had past experiences with TC Global Delhi as a senior relationship manager. We welcome you today on behalf of the entire Editio family, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Rahul, can you please raise your hand in the said participant? Then I can make you co-host. I am unable to find you.
Rahul, can you do that, please? I think its name is showing out there as an owner. I think it's the app. Sorry, just hold on. Is he again got logged out by the system? He's again logging in your system. Sure. I'm really sorry. Sorry, really. Give me a second.
No, not a problem. Students, just wait for 2 minutes. He's facing a technical issue as he is joining from UK. So just bear for 2 minutes. He's just joining with us.
Hello. Yes, Miss Ipsita. Yes, Rahul is there.
Okay, so we'll just start with it then.
Yes. You need to unmute him. Maybe it's from the host being locked out him.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yes, please.
Uncle, can you please unmute him?
Yeah,
please?
I have. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you're audible.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your patience. Some technical difficulties on this side. So apologies for that. Can everybody hear me okay?
Sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, guys, I'm going to get started. I believe I've missed out on some of the introduction that was happening originally. So I'm going to get started anyway. So thank you all for attending. I wanted to give everybody sort of an update, and in a bit, if you don't mind, Ipsita, I'm going to share my screen and go over some things that I think will help. So I don't have anything inside a prescribed method of doing this, but I'm going to start talking about number one, why we should study abroad. And Swed, you can interject, of course, if you as you like. What the status is at the moment in the UK, what's happening here, what the updates are maybe, because I've been doing some of these conferences live on Facebook. If anyone wants to go to the Admissify Facebook page, there's videos there, multiple videos where I've done seminars throughout the COVID period. And you can see how that's evolved, like what I was saying a few months back as to what I'm saying now, just so that we can see how the process has evolved. But I'm going to brief through that and catch you all up on that stuff, as well as then talk to you about what the present situation is and what it would be going forward as well. So I hope that's okay. Is that a good way of doing it?
Yeah.
Everybody agreed?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, doke. So just to give you a bit of a brief, guys. So this is, I did my master's. I studied my master's in the UK. I'm born and brought up here. I've done a Bachelor in Engineering and a Bachelor of Science, right? So as far as that's concerned, it gives me probably a little bit of a wide array of experience in order to give you some advice on different fields of yours. I think we're going to leave some questions until the end. So if you have any questions regarding your specific courses or what you're specifically interested in, or a country-specific question, we'll try and answer that at the end. So anyway, if we talk about the situation with COVID now, so on Saturday in the UK, we announced the end of lockdown. So there is no more lockdown in the UK as of now. There are social distancing rules, but there is no lockdown. So I'll explain what that means. So from Saturday, all pubs, all restaurants, dining venues, events halls, everything is allowed to open as long as they maintain a 1 meter distance from another unrelated person. So if there's if you're sitting at a table at a restaurant, whereas maybe the adjoining table would have been maybe only a few centimeters apart, now there has to be a clear 1 meter apart. The reason that this has happened is because the R rate is below 1. That's very, very important. I do want to discuss a little bit, seeing as everybody over here is looking to study further studies, whether it be in India or whether it be abroad. Of course, everybody attending here is interested in going abroad, or at least interested in weighing up their options for going abroad. But regardless, you are interested in doing further studies. Now, that's why I'm going to take a little bit of a scientific approach to explaining what the R rate is and how that is going to go on and affect what is happening, as well as what the situation is. So does anybody mind me sharing my screen?
So you can share it, sir.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. Bear with me. Yes, there we are. Okay, so I hope, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Fantastic. Okay, so this is a little bit about, so we're going to go up current updates on coronavirus, UK and Europe admissions for this coming September and January 21, right? So that's a very brief, but I just wanted to show you guys what's happening. Oh, somebody's going to draw all over the place on there. Anyway, look, this is what is happening with, as it is at the moment. So COVID cases in Europe, so that's the UK and that's Germany, for example. So we can see that we peaked around about here, and that was sort of beginning of April. You can see there's a maximum number of cases in the UK. And again, over here, you can see the beginning of April was the maximum number of cases in Germany as well. That was when these countries went through their peak period. Since then, you can see it's gone down, right? So it's, bear with me 1 second. Yeah, there we are. I'm just going to stop whoever's doing that to do that. So anyway, what we will do is then have a look at what's happening in India, right? So as you can see, in April, beginning of April, everybody was worried about Europe. And I was doing these seminars then as well, or these webinars. But people, you know, I guess at that time it hadn't quite reached India, but as we can see at the moment, as far as new cases are concerned, the peak at the moment is what we are seeing now. It's an exponential increase in what's happening in India. And these are the cases which are reported, mind you, not the cases which are not reported. So you have to bear that in mind as well. So there's around about 20,000 plus cases every day in India, whereas over here, even at the peak, there are around about 8,000 cases, or for Germany, just over 6,000 cases. So of course, every country has a different stage at which they are at, and the way that it's increasing. So that's just another country table is what's happening. These are the total number of cases, what's happening in India versus the total number of cases, total number of deaths, and total number of recovered. Right? I don't want to, I mean, you guys can see that India is in number 3. A lot of people actually say that India is in number 1 position at the moment because, of course, a lot of cases are going unreported. Anyway, but I don't want to go too much into that situation because there's been a case at a hospital where I think 90 people were tested positive and only 1 was reported and only 1 came up in the stats for it. So that again is something that you want to sort of bear in mind. Now, this is where I want to talk about the R rate and what the R rate actually is. So the R rate is the rate of infection. It's on this basis that everybody in the UK, or all the decisions that the UK government is taking, right? So number one, I wanted to say, right. So number one, I'm just going to be very brief on the rate of infection. If the rate of infection is 1, basically you can see they only infect one person. If the rate of infection is 2, you go on and it becomes a very big chain, right? So that's what we want to appreciate. So if the R rate is below 1, you're going to go down. If the R rate is above 1, it's going to go up in the country. So that's what I wanted to talk about first. Anyway, as long as we appreciate that, we can see that actually, as far as going abroad is concerned, at this time, it's probably not a very dangerous call, right? So that's quite important to appreciate. Now, going on to advantages and opportunities in studying in the UK, Ireland, and Europe. So except for the fact that you've got internationally recognized and ranked universities, and that can be the Russell, if we're talking about the UK, we'll talk about Russell Group universities. So if you haven't heard of the Russell Group universities, they are a group of 26, 27 universities in the UK. They're the top, they're some of the top universities. They don't include Oxbridge University, so that includes sort of your Canada and, Cambridge and Oxford. It includes universities, including some University of London universities and other popular universities like Nottingham University and Manchester University and other high-ranking universities, which you may have heard of before. If you haven't, you can do a little bit of research. You can download the Admissify app, and you can have a look at sort of 300 universities in the UK, and then just maybe Google what Russell Group universities are, and it'll come up with a list there for you to see. Right, so quality education with the finest facilities and postgraduate prospects. So as we know, at the moment in Europe, there is a 2-year post-study work permit for the UK, which is new. So if you go to the UK now and you graduate next year, i.e. summer 2021, which is anybody who's looking for admission in September or January will be graduating then or after, you will be getting a 2-year post-study work permit. Now that is a massive thing. For people who don't, that's why you're going to see a massive influx into the UK. Because for the last 10 years, it's been, or last, not 10, I think 7 or 8 years, it's been only a 4-month post-study work permit. So do bear in mind that is a massive difference. Before, a 4-month post-study work permit or 6-month post-study work permit was not enough time to get a job. And even if you did get a job, nobody would want to sponsor your visa thereon. So if I was an employer in the UK, like we are, my company in the UK is an employer. We employ more than 30 people here. I would not have picked anybody from abroad or from India at all, because I know that in 4 to 6 months, they will not have a valid visa. If they do not have a valid visa, then I would have to apply for sponsorship for them, and I need to have a sponsorship license to do that. In the UK, there is only 8,000 to 9,000 companies that have a visa sponsorship license. Now, that is a fair amount of companies, but again, the procedure is very hard. So they're not going to take on that chance unless you are something exceptional. And again, of course, 4 to 6 months is not enough time to show somebody or an employer that you are so exceptional that they should do that. So that's why it was a very, very difficult process. So a lot of people you may have spoken to who may be your seniors would have said to you, oh, don't go to the UK, you don't get a job afterwards, right? Now, that may have been fine for them to say at the time because it's, of course, they only had that limited amount of time. But of course, with 2 years, you've got more than enough time. Ipshita, if you don't mind, somebody is obviously being a little bit foolish. If you can just clear the annotations at the same time.
Sir, that they have to do. Students, please stop scribbling on the board.
You can do it yourself actually. At the top, it says where it says annotate. You can clear all the drawings like that.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do that.
Just if I keep on doing that, I'm going to lose my train of thought. Okay, so that should give you an idea of. There's always one person. Don't worry. Don't be embarrassed. There's always one person who will always do stuff like that. So. Anyway, quality education in the finest facility. So as you well know, the funding, especially now, especially if you're going into the sciences, is increasing everywhere in Europe. The amount of money that they're putting into universities, particularly the sciences. That's very important. Of course, so for example, I went to Queen Mary University. That's a University of London university for my engineering. We had one of the world's leading nanotechnology facilities, right? So depending on what kind of facilities and what your course is, you always want to check what the facilities are at the university and whether they are leading in that class. So it says many countries like to follow the UK and European education system as it is considered the best in the world. Now that is of course true so for engineering, the TU9 universities in Germany, as well as a lot of the private universities are very, very recognized all over the world, as well as the UK. So it's for the UK, it's more the prestige of the university. Courses can vary. Certain universities can vary upon the courses, and the rankings evolve sort of every year. I know in case some of you guys are very into your rankings, remember to take rankings with a pinch of salt. There is a university called Heriot-Watt, which is in the rankings for the last couple of years in the UK. If you ask me or anybody else in the UK what we think of Heriot-Watt University, most people would not even be able to tell you that it is a university. So there is a prestige attached to universities. I more like to focus on the prestige and the name of the university and look at the rankings and then make my own decision based on weighing up both of those aspects, not just one. So that's important. Now, the shorter duration of courses in the UK and Europe help reduce tuition fees and accommodation costs. Now, that's fantastic. It's a big thing. So if you wanted to do a master's in the US and Canada and Australia, that's all 2-year masters. Whereas if you wanted to do a master's in the UK or Ireland, that's a 1-year master's. Now, of course, if it's only 1 year, you're only paying 1 year's tuition fees. You're only paying 1 year's accommodation. Now, most people used to not want to do that because they were like, oh, well, you know, I can get 2-year masters in Canada, work part-time, and then I can do 2 years post-study work permit as well. However, now in the UK, you can do a 1-year master's and on top of that, then do a 2-year stay back for 2 years. So that's a brilliant opportunity. And we have Brexit to thank for that, because we are not going to have so much cheaper labor or more people from Eastern Europe coming to the UK. Therefore, we can now afford to give a 2-year post-study work permit to students from the wider field, i.e. India, etc. And remember, 2 years is a brilliant time, brilliantly large amount of time to then make your footprint, get a good job, make your value known to your employer, and then it's much easier to get a visa sponsorship after that, okay? It's easier to get the job in the first place, as I've explained to you just slightly earlier. If you do have any questions, guys, please note them down so I can answer them, particularly about jobs and bits and pieces I might be talking about. Remember, I do this all the time, so I might move past a particular point slightly quicker, and you may have some questions. I will come back and re-explain and go through your questions at the end again. Now, native English communication helps you develop excellent language skills. That's very important. Remember, if you are going to be looking at getting a job in the UK, or you want to go and join a blue chip after your 2-year post-study work permit, when you go back to the when you go back onto it, it makes a big difference. Sorry, I'm going to run past this slide very quickly, and then I'm going to let Swed chip in a little bit, and then I'll be coming into the rest of some other bits and pieces, so you can talk about a little bit about Germany as well. So that really should give you a bit of a brief about what the post-study work opportunities are. I don't want to go through these points one by one. You can read it anyway. There is a lot of cultural diversity, as in within the UK, Manchester, Birmingham, London. It's very, very diverse. Everybody speaks English. Everybody has a different accent from town to town, so you don't have to feel alienated. Within the UK itself, our Chancellor, which is the Finance Minister, is Indian. The Home Secretary is Indian. The Business Secretary is Indian. So Indians have done very, very well within the UK. Most of the NHS doctors and most of the most senior NHS managers in the UK are Indian. I think it's 1/4 of all doctors in the NHS are Indian. So it's a big, big thing. If anybody asks about, you know, what is there ever any racism that's been experienced? In my whole life of 30 years now, I have never experienced any racism within the UK. So that should perhaps give you an idea there as well. Just before I let Swathe come in, I would like to say that there is something called the NHS visa, which not very many people know about for the UK. That is a separate visa in itself. It gives you 2 years, but it also gives you a fast track to get citizenship and a permanent right to remain, right? The reason, and so that is available for anybody who's wanting to do, who's going into maybe nursing, who's going into public health management, who's going into psychology, who's going into other sort of biotechnology fields. You may be applicable for a special NHS visa. Now that is above and beyond the 2-year post-study work permit you get. It is a fast track to actually get citizenship here in the UK itself. Now, of course, as you know, the NHS is a nationalized thing. It's free for everybody in the UK. So I've never paid to go to the doctor or anything else because all British citizens are allowed to avail the National Health Service for free. It is a big thing. There is a lot of nurses from Eastern Europe which will now not be able to come. So there is a big chance, big opportunity for people within the medical health field, whether it's management on the management side or more on the science side. There's lots of opportunities. So I hope that gives a bit of a brief. Can Swathe come in now, Akshita, and I'll take a bit of a break, just see what I haven't discussed, and then go on, touch on from where Swathe is.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Swathe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I hope so. I'm unmuted, right? Hello, everyone. Thank you, Rahul, giving a bit insight of the current scenario, for which I think especially the students of the final years or the pre-final year people have been very concerned about what is going to be the coming era of career changes or the life developments that we can look forward for. So as specifically been instructed to me to have the scopes and opportunities, if I talk about in overseas, the main concern which students of India or that we are less aware or cared about is that thinking that studying abroad is very, very expensive, right? As because of the
Right.
awareness campaigns not being available, which me and Rahul have been trying over the last couple of years in northeastern states or all over the pan India, to try to at least educate students, especially the potential students who have good academic credentials in terms of research, as well as to study in different departments ranging from engineering to life sciences to arts, humanities, and social sciences, right? So we, a lot of people, we don't like to explore. So without exploring, we won't be knowing a lot number about the universities where all we can try for. So when I talk about the country as a destination, Germany has more than 100 plus universities in public and applied science universities. I mean the TU9 universities technical, as well as with the public universities where the
Swathe seems to have frozen there.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's all.
Really sorry. So when we talk about the programs, especially in Germany or any other European nations, the tuition fees or amount of research fundings are huge amount of available, as told by
Is
Rahul.
everybody able to hear Swathe?
Yes, I hope so, Rahul. It's you getting stuck in between. So the main concern for the courses, when we talk about, especially for the STEM programs, let me first concentrate on them. By STEM, I mean science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In terms of masters via research, masters via taught programs, or in terms of PhD, when students apply for the university in Germany, the tuition fees or the amount of fundings are huge in amount, for especially for the Indian students, and they can get maximum utilization or the output out of it. All right. Same way, these countries are giving stay back or the post-study work, term used by a lot of people, to work and explore your possibilities, what exactly you can do after your master's program. The tuition fees, if I talk about in the terms of tuition fees, which is the first thing before exploring the university options overseas, we try to look across, is that what would be the tuition fees? Is it too expensive? Will I be able to adopt it? Will I be able to afford it? Or am I going to get any sort of funding from that? For your information, this year, on an average, at least 40 to 45 students who are going on a fully funded 100% scholarships to study various programs ranging from humanities to engineering in all different universities, in especially in the European nations. So I would really request or recommend students to explore your options available in your field of interest. And I can see few questions have popped up regarding PhD programs. Obviously, PhD also is very highly demanding research program, which is huge options available in all around the universities, and students can try. But it does not have a specific set of application process, which we are aware of. It is either you apply directly to the universities, writing to the faculties. If the coursework or the work that you have done previously is similar that you are applying for, they will show great interest onto that. And after that, based on that, they will requisite requirements which will need to follow up and need to apply accordingly. But when I'm talking about countries like Ireland, Germany, Poland, the tuition fees is either completely nil or the tuition fees ranges between 3,000 to 10,000 euros, which is roughly between 3.5 to 10 lakhs. And studying at a public university, which is globally ranked also. You can say top 500 global universities. As an Indian crowd, I know we are always concerned about the ranks of the universities. Where am I going to study? What is the return of investment if I am going to invest in that? So for me, as an individual, as an alumni, or as an representing Admissify, my first concern to students, I always tell that think about your individual growth that you are going to learn in terms of education, right? So even if you are studying in Poland, get the maximum out of it, what you are going to explore for. There are no limitation of programs like we have a few limitations for the engineering student studying in India. When we after class 12, the basic programs which every other individual or parents like to explore are either engineering or the medical sciences, right? But we less few of us try to explore the possibilities of options related to medical sciences. It might be biomedical sciences, biotechnology, biological sciences. If I'm talking about arts, we either go for BA honors, then we can try for fine arts, dance. So different sort of programs are there which are in huge demand with possibilities of research. We think that this sort of courses don't have research or possibilities of job opportunities. Any program that we go for and we are able to excel in that program, we won't have tremendous amount of opportunities. Even though we had the rumor 6 to 7 years back that UK had scrapped away the work permit for international students, especially for India, not being able to work in UK. But at the same time, I tell one very important factor why today we are exploring to go overseas after our graduation or research possibilities. Because to know the specialized area where exactly we like to explore for. If I'm talking about UK, there are more than 18,000 companies till today's date which can hire international students under the sponsorship visas. It means if you are best at what you are doing in the course, nothing can stop you from getting the rightful job. Same way in Germany, which is one of the highest demanding country in Europe and very fastest growing nation in terms of STEM courses like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you have German language proficiency, you have an advantage even to go for the program in German taught courses where the tuition fees is zero completely. So I always recommend when I come across students or seminars that or in the sessions of one-to-one that when you are in guys on 6th semester or in the 7th semester, try to start learning the German language courses, which will be an added advantage even if you go for English taught master's courses, which are available in public universities in Germany. And you won't believe the amount of tuition fees is that which is very, very low compared to any other Indian universities in comparison to, right? So my only always we like to tell students keep try to explore the possibilities. It's not about Australia, it's not about Canada. Why do people choose Canada? Though US or Canada has been one of the very expensive country in terms of long-term investments. Canada has number of good ranked universities like British Columbia, Carleton University, University of Toronto, Webmaster, right? Concordia University, which are very well profound, known for engineering courses. But you have to decide at the first place, why have you chosen this country to apply for? What course exactly you are looking for? then go ahead and apply for that. Don't choose a country that because this country is giving a lot of opportunities. See for the course and the university that you are applying for and what course you are going for. And when you are applying for scope in terms of scopes of opportunities, always see the course content, because this is something which is going to stay with you all across your career and help you in getting the rightful job that you are looking for. All right. So when I'm talking about countries like Australia, they have post-study work. They also allow you to settle down in the country after 3 to 4 years of your work possibilities or working in that environment. Same way in Canada, if you're going. Canada also has a level of programs known as the postgraduate diploma courses or the advanced diploma courses, which either the undergrad students or students with less experience than 5 years can apply for such courses. Now, when we hear the word diploma, we might think, why should I go for a diploma course overseas? What is the advantage for me? Then we might think on that way. These diplomas at a higher level diplomas and are designed according to the requirements of the industry or the corporate sector. The students who are not looking to go and join the research work, they can opt for such courses so that they can be ready for the industry immediately. But yes, if someone is looking keen, no, in the long run of my 5 years or 10 years of my career, I want to explore the options of PhD, postdoc in the overseas, then definitely when you're applying to Canada, you should apply for master's courses only. Please remember, if you are targeting the top universities in Canada for the public universities, like British Columbia, you need to have at least 75% and above to be eligible. Though they say first class, but the rate of acceptance is very, very low when the students having less than 75%, right? And try to do as many internships, try to develop your skills during your course period while you're studying at the university, so that when you're applying for the higher education, you have the advantage in getting the rightful courses. And when I talk about UK universities, this year, UK universities are giving the highest amount of scholarships, ranging from 50% to 100%. As I have earlier mentioned, more than 36 students have got scholarships ranging between 50 to 100%, of which few of them have already been posted in our websites and in our Admissify, and especially from the Northeastern region. So I would be really recommending, rather than ending up in any job and every job which is not relevant to your profile, try to educate yourself in the rightful direction that you have studied at your undergrad level in India, right? So that you can work in the field of your interest rather than just working to earn few bucks of money, right? Another very important thing why students should consider studying abroad is that in India, after undergrad, we are limited to very few possible options. If it's an engineering student, they are either limited to an MTech, Master of Technology, with few domains available with specializations, right? But when you're exploring overseas, you might have minute specializations like artificial intelligence, big data, data analytics, data science. If I'm talking about computer science and electronics, wireless communications. If I'm talking about biological sciences, there are microbiology, plant biology, zoological, plant science. So these are few examples I'm telling you to people. People looking to go, students from engineering looking to opt for management related courses, they can go for project management, engineering management courses. Though few of the universities overseas also offer MBA courses to students with freshers, but it is highly recommended people to go for specialized courses rather than go for a generic MBA programs. Why? Because you won't find any top ranking universities which will accept students in terms of just the academic credentials and not having a work experiences, right? So our suggestions and recommendations for our students, being an alumni team, the core team, always recommend students to go for the specialized in their area of interest. It might be engineering management, which is a very niche program, and very few universities in India are offering such courses. I'm talking about masters in project management, masters in data management, these sort of courses which students after engineering can opt for from all the different departments, mechanical, civil. They can also go for construction management also. In terms of scholarships, please, the earlier you start your process, it's not that we can apply 6 months. You can start your applications 1 year earlier also to get the rightful scholarships also. For your informations, I would also like to bring to your notice is that don't discourage yourself thinking that I don't have 90% or 85%. I am not eligible for a good number of scholarships. Scholarships are never just only on your academic credentials. It's being considered the complete overall profile and what course you're applying for. They also conduct some few interviews. We also have students with ranging from 69 to 70% from various universities from different states of India who have got 70 to 100% scholarships. At the same time, I also bring to notice to people that people with 85 to 90% also have not been able to get the rightful scholarships. So that's one very good factor while applying overseas in terms of scopes and opportunities, that you are not only being accredited or being accepted in terms of academic credentials. It's your complete profile. So you always tell students from your third year or the fourth year, or even if you're taking a gap year, which is not very recommended, to consider the students, people who have already studied there and what all requirements are there. Now, when there is a question I have seen someone has asked me, what is the basic difference between public and private university? So it's a very huge, it's not that you cannot consider in US, if I consider, all the top ranked universities are private universities. You consider Stanford, you consider Harvard, you talk about MIT, you talk about these have all funding of private financials or a completely private funded universities, right? Even there are a number of private universities in Germany which are very well ranked and very well known for their courses, like Jacobs University, IUBH. These are some universities which are providing courses in Germany apart from the public universities. So you cannot say that the private universities in India, there are a number of private universities which are very well ranked. End of the day matters how you are performing and what knowledge you are getting and coming out with that. I would really say on that. But yes, when UK comes, all the universities are public funded universities. Yes. So tuition fees in sometimes you will find in public funded universities are high. Sometimes in private universities you will find very, very less. So matters is that what course you are going for and what output you are learning out of it. So I will be focusing few on the points, especially when I will try to cover the questions that you guys are looking around. So I'll cover on the points so that you don't miss out on that, right? In terms of medical technology and the pharmaceutical sciences, Ireland is one very demanding country in terms of job prospects as well as possibilities of research work. You can also consider Germany. Yes, sometimes Indian students who are coming from undergrad course duration of 3 years, they get limited to few options, but that is not that you are not eligible to apply. You are definitely eligible to apply for still. So when I'm talking about pharmaceutical sciences, biological sciences, they have huge number of good universities in the coming times.
Can I just share my screen while you're talking?
Yes, please.
Because but I'm not. Can the host activate that, please? Because some of what you're talking.
Please do that.
Can I do it now? It won't let me.
Just check once.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Ankur?
No.
Sir, I'm unmuting it.
Ankur, he can try now.
Yeah. Definitely.
So please try once.
So
are you able to share your screen now?
No, it's okay. Sorry, you can continue to try in the background. I'll continue to try. So you carry on in the meantime.
Yes, sorry. So guys, so the main thing is that today I would not like to focus on specifically. I would be writing more on scopes and opportunities. It's like when you guys are looking for a long-term settlement or long-term future opportunities. It means when you choose a program, obviously you are looking yourself for the next 10 years of your career, what exactly you want to do in your life. So obviously choose a program. It's not about the universities, and then check the specific universities and the requirements. We at Admissify, we do a detailed assessment of every students who are looking for programs in any specific universities they're applying for. Right now, some of us might be very good in few modules in one of our undergraduate courses, but not be very much fanatically interested in all the modules. So we might see for such specific programs or module specializations in the countries that you are applying for. And I can really say you that these sort of programs are available with specialization even at master's level, which I had talked earlier regarding the MTech possibilities, or people with graduation with management, they have only the options of either MBA. There's a main sole options. But when you're looking from overseas, especially in Europe, Canada, Australia, or UK, these countries are providing you the work possibilities, work opportunities with internship programs, as well as the multiple specializations, starting from international business to public relations management, communications and management. There are various wide range of programs, business analytics, business intelligence and management, right? I know some of us from the engineering background at undergrad level might have thought ki I am not very keen to pursue my higher studies in core programming or core mechanical or more civil engineering. I'm looking for something management. Rather than going for an MBA course, I would recommend you people to go for such sort of courses which has a mix and bunch and helps you to correlate with your previous 4 years of undergraduate programs, but will have more effect on your management part also. The programs like masters in engineering management, masters in project management, these are few examples. I'm just to correlate yourself. You can look for that. And for such programs, you can consider UK, you can consider Canada, Australia, in terms of your budget, scholarships, and your future point of interest, what exactly you are looking in your life to and settle down for. These countries like Canada, US, Australia, UK nowadays are also allowing students who have stayed in their country for more than 7 to 8 years with work and education. They can also apply for ILR, or known as the PR, in individual countries. Permanent residency, definite right to remain in that country.
Okay.
Yes, please, Rahul. You can like.
I'll take it.
I can again
Yeah,
join.
there's a who's a okay. Anyway, right. Okay. Well, there's lots of questions that have come in, and thank you, Swed, for that. That it was very informative. A lot of questions have come in, so I wanted to. I still can't share my screen, so I can't show you guys the slide that I had prepared for you. But all in all, basically, long story short, I want to just discuss some of the advanced courses which are available to you guys, because a lot of you are asking about subjects. So somebody asked about a mechanical engineering, and of course, there's lots of subjects and within mechanical engineering. Can someone, Ankita Devi, can she mute her microphone? Yeah. Okay, so, right. Somebody asked about mechanical engineering, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that first. Of course, it is a wide field of engineering. There are many things within it. In the UK and in other countries, particularly in Europe, you actually have a lot of joint courses that you can do, and a lot of specialization and customization and within your actual degree program. So normally in masters, you have something like two core modules out of a possible 8. That basically leaves you with 6 modules that you can choose from. And it can sometimes affect the name of your course. So if I was to give you an example, when I did my master's in law, I chose the title course International Commercial Law, but I actually specialized in intellectual property. So most of the modules that I chose were intellectual property modules. Now, I could have had a degree called a master's in intellectual property, but I didn't want that. I wanted to keep it as international commercial law. So I decided to do that. It changed the two core modules, or one of the two core modules. The other one stayed the same, and then I could still choose whatever I wanted out of my optional courses. So bear in mind, whenever we do your shortlisting as a, you know, as your consultants or as your counselors, we do make sure that we shortlist as according to what kind of area you want to specialize in and of itself. Otherwise, of course, if you have your a particular field you want to go in and there's a pre-packaged, as it were, masters for it. So, you know, if you wanted to do robotics and you wanted to do mechanical engineering, then we might suggest a course like mechatronics, for example, that incorporates both of those fields of robotics and mechanical engineering, and a bit of automotive engineering into one particular course program, which is, you know, not very common in India or wherever. There are a lot of other programs which are slowly becoming available, which are going to be very, very demanded in the future, such as, you know, courses on 3D printing or engineering programs that have whole modules based on 3D printing. These are up and coming courses. They are going to be the jobs of the future. And to be honest with you, because they are particularly niche at the moment, imagine by the time you graduate, there's not very many people that have a degree in those particular fields. So you'll be in very high demand. Likewise, with other courses, I think what Swed was trying to say is there are a lot of cutting edge courses which are available at universities here, which are not available in universities in India, for example. The reason that they are so popular is because they are the jobs, they are the opportunities, the businesses, the expertise of the future that people require. So to be future proofed in a way by doing those courses, it's very important. So somebody says optometry or health science related courses, health management or public health. Absolutely, these are courses I would say, if you are interested in that and if your background is related to it, 100% that is going to be a massive opportunity. Why? Because most of those degree programs will qualify for an NHS visa if you are looking to come to the UK. So remember, not only is there a short degree program over here, the fees are very cheap in the UK as compared to the US and Canada. I don't know whether you guys have heard of this news, that the US is now considering sending back a lot of its foreign students. It is doing this as a retaliatory measure to China, but it is bad news for students who are currently in the US from India because you know they are struggling themselves to deal with this pandemic, and on top of that, you know, obviously their government is considered under Trump to be quite unstable and to go back on their commitment. So that is the news at the moment. So you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think, you know, the US is not a good option, not only because of its handling of this pandemic, but also because of the instability in their governance because of Trump. So I would say that, you know, whereas Canada and Australia would remain perhaps an option for some people, I think the UK, Ireland, and Germany are at the moment the best of options that you have. Of course, at Missify, I'm speaking to you from our offices in London. We have helped many people get scholarships, and then number two, get employed after they graduate. So do bear in mind, somebody else has gotten unmuted. So anyway, if do bear in mind that over here, and I wish I could share my screen, over here, the employment process is the recruitment process is completely different, right? So you need to have references to be employed within the UK. Okay, that is, to get references, you need to have onshore references. That is what is valued a lot higher. So if you have a reference for example, if you have a reference from our company here in the UK, and we are able to speak to any prospective employers of yours going down the line, the way you are much more guaranteed to get a job, your chances of getting a job and securing employment are much, much higher. Why? Because we are backing you up from London itself, saying that we have given you an internship here, or we give you an internship certificate from here itself. That does very, very much increase your chances of getting a top job. MBA best universities in abroad. Now, somebody has asked about an MBA. I don't want to, the reason it's very important to realize, look, in India, everybody goes MBA, 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 right? Bear in mind, it's not all about an MBA. In the UK, most people do not have an MBA. Most people have an MSc, because our master's in business is an MSc normally, not an MBA. That's a very American and Indian thing. And most MBAs are actually executive MBAs. They expect you to be something like 30 years old, have worked in a management role in a company for at least 3 years before you do an MBA. But why would you want to do an MBA? Is it just because you guys have BBA over there and then you change the B to an M for a master's? Is that the main reason? And that's absolutely the main reason. And also because it's a buzzword. In India, most people are used to the word MBA. In fact, that is useless. It is useless for you if you have come out of graduation and you haven't been in a management role for more than 3 years. Because what an MBA is doing is not teaching you a lot of theory, it's trying to teach you practical based on what you may have already experienced. Now, considering that you guys would not have experienced, years of a managerial function in a company, an MBA is useless for you. Also, the universities offering an MBA for people who haven't got 3 or more years of experience are not good universities. They are not good degree programs. They are just universities that are taking advantage of people's unreasonable and insatiable appetite for having an MBA when it's not required. It's a typical name for something which is not the right program for you guys. Therefore, I suggest an MSc in your business related subject is a much, much better option. Okay. If anybody has any questions on that, I'll be more than happy to answer. I don't know whether all of you have understood what I'm trying to say or not.
So you can just try sharing your screen again.
Okay. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Ankur, can you check once for him?
Yeah, sure. So please do one thing. In your means bottom of your screen, you will get one share screen button. You have to click there.
I didn't understand. Click where?
No. So for a screen sharing, yeah. I'm asking this.
I can hear you, but you're speaking very quickly. Try it again. No, it's still not working. Remember, I had to log out and log back in. Like this thing chucked me out, so I'd have to log back in. So maybe that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Anyway, in the meanwhile, the reason I wanted to talk to you guys about employment is so that you understand, like, remember, after your graduation, you have a 2-year post-study work permit. Okay, in that time, it is very important to get your job ASAP and have that reference. Because if you do not have your reference, when you send the CVs, I mean, we have helped a lot of people place their CVs in the right companies, in those companies that I said have the visa sponsorship license, so you can stay after the 2 years as well, right? We help you with interview practice over here. We tell you where to go for the right jobs. When the companies call us to say, ask for your character reference or your reference to say, how did this person do in their internship, or et cetera, our office will pick up the call and vouch for you, basically. Only then will they clear your references so that you can be employed. So understand that it is a very crucial part of the recruitment process in the UK and in Europe. And now somebody says, tell me about pharmacist opportunities. There's lots of pharmacy opportunities, lots of top universities in the UK for pharmacy. Again, with that, you will have a 2-year post-study work permit. And after that, you will probably be eligible for an NHS visa. So you'll be able to continue to stay in the UK as well. Most pharmacies within India are within the UK are in fact Asian, and it's still not working, by the way.
No. There are a lot of opportunities in pharmaceuticals in global location.
Students, please mute your mic. So we'll just try unmuting you.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, some of you found what was happening funny. I didn't understand what was being said, but I hope I'm glad that you guys enjoyed that little interjection. So, okay. Look, long story short, I hope that explains to you a little bit about the MBA that I'm trying to say to you. An MBA is absolutely futile, particularly for you guys. You guys are at, you haven't got 3 to 4 or 5 years of managerial work experience. And by managerial work experience, I actually mean having got to a stage where you are a manager in a company. And I don't mean just, daddy's company. I mean a proper company. You're a manager there for a few years, and then you might want to then go and do an MBA. But to try and do an MBA straight out of graduation is an absolute waste of time. It is not geared up towards what you need to know. Whereas an MSc, which is basically over here, in the UK and in Europe, we don't have such a thing called a BBA. Our BBA is a BSc anyway. It's a Bachelor of Business Management. And because it's management, it's a science, not a particular separate designation. So anyway, that's all I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell you a little bit about accommodation as well. If I was again able to share my screen, you would be able to see I have a table with how much it costs to live abroad, how much it costs to study abroad, what your ROIs are. If you don't know what an ROI is, it's your return on investment, right? So remember, your tuition fees average for 1 year masters or for a master's in the UK will be around about 14 lakh rupees. Perhaps less than that. Normally about 12 lakh rupees actually, right? For some of the science courses, it can be about 14 lakh a year. But otherwise, normal courses like management, etc., it is about 12 lakh a year, right? And that's for the whole program. Now, bear in mind, your accommodation, particularly if you're outside of London, can be less than 5 lakh for the whole year, right? And your living expenses can be the same amount, if not less, right? So 5 lakh. So all in around about 20 lakh rupees, your whole fees, your accommodation, and your living expense is all covered, and you end up with a master's from London. And then remember, when you're studying, you can also be working part-time. You're allowed to work 20 hours per week in term time and 40 hours a week outside of term time. The minimum wage is near about £10 an hour. So you can assume, right, or eight pounds something an hour. So you can assume that even if you work 20 hours a week, right, in part-time, you will be getting something like 20,000 rupees a week, right, which is about 80,000 rupees a month, right, or 75 if we average it out, let's say 75,000 rupees a month. So in maybe in a year or maybe 10 months, if you spend a couple of months in India in your summer, if you don't want to work here part-time as well, that's like 7.5 lakhs, right? So that's almost all of your, your accommodation cost or your living expense for that year. So, you're almost looking at a third of your cost being finished with part-time after that year. And then you have 2 years to work. And an average starting salary for a master's student will be around about 30 lakh a year. So if you have 2 years in which to earn 60 lakh a year plus the 7.5 lakh that you earned in your part-time, you're talking around about 70 lakhs. And how much did your whole thing cost? 20 lakhs. So you have a 300% ROI at the very least. Does that make sense to everyone? I hope it does. So remember, it's a very, very positive financial experience, as well as it makes you independent, as well as you end up with a top degree, as well as when you come back to India, if you come back to India, your credibility, your actually transition into any employment in India itself with that kind of experience under your belt, you can get into blue chips. Quite often they'll transfer you to an India office. Let's say you're working for a big bank, at the top, one of the top 4 auditing companies. If you're in accounts, Ernst & Young, JP Morgan, PwC, or it could be Dell or Microsoft if you're in the IT field, or if you're in the science or chemicals or bio field, it could be PG, GSK, Unilever, any one of these kind of big blue chip companies. India has all of them nowadays. So what you do want to bear in mind is the fact that you are going to be very, very employable. And also on top of that, your degree program will probably be much, much more future-proofed, especially if you do something, you choose some good, interesting modules and keep your name generic. You will mention that in your CV that you have done, you know, let's say, for example, is 3D printing, if it's engineering, or data analytics, or big data, or something where it's because remember, data is a huge field. It is a huge field. And it is a very, very up and coming field. So any one of these things which are more advanced over here than there are over there, right? So, I mean, from all aspects, financially, your own internal development as a human being and within yourself, you become much more independent. Remember, when you're not at home, you are much more independent. Otherwise, we are all in our comfort zones, right? It's about coming out of that bubble. And that's when you realize who you are. Bruce Lee said, you never understand yourself until you fight someone, right? So it is that is important. Now, I'm not saying you guys go out on the streets and you start fighting people and, you know, you get into a fight so you can understand yourself. That is not the motive of what I'm saying. The fight is coming out of your bubble, is coming out of your comfort zone. That is the fight. And that is when you get to learn about yourself. What are my weaknesses? What are my strengths? You know, what can I actually do? And you realize, you know, right now, mommy might cook food for you all the time, and daddy might, you know, do all the house bills and all the rest of it. And so you don't know that you are capable. I'm not saying that you aren't capable, but you don't know that you are because you've never done it yourself. And who knows, you might be very good at it, or you might realize, hang on a minute, I'm not so good at this. I need to realize that, you know, in life, I need to become a bit more organized, or, you know, you might learn some things. So it is very important. But remember, with Admissify and our offices here in the UK and in Germany, you have a fallback anytime. You're not jumping into the deep end without any support. We are here. We are here to help you find part-time jobs. We are here to help you find postgraduate jobs. We are here to give you internship certificates from our UK company, our parent company in the UK, which is more than 40-year-old company. And we employ a lot of people here. So bear in mind that you have that support mechanism, okay? At the same time, scholarships. We do our very best from our London office as well as from our India office to get you scholarships. Remember, we have a industry specific, I mean, it's an industry first, 2-stage scholarship process. So what we do is only the top of the of consultants in India, some people that charge like 2 lakh, 1 lakh, 2 lakh for just the admission process. Only they do really very, very hard work on your application. Remember, we charge nothing like that. Most of the time, we are trying to do it free for you anyway, right? Where we do your SOP editing, we do your LOR editing, we do any cover letters that you need, as well as the fact that we really, really make sure that your SOPs are very tailored for each one of your universities. I have seen many SOPs in my life, okay? Many people that have shown SOPs and they think, oh, my SOP is amazing. We don't need any editing, right? Now, what actually happens is when that SOP comes back from editing, it's all yellow and orange, full of highlighting, right? The reason being is because most people think, oh, the SOP is going to be about me talking about what I have achieved. I have done this, I have done that, I have done this, I have done that. And particularly in the Northeast, at least the grammar is very good because your English over there in the Northeast is much better than elsewhere in India. So the way it is written is not bad, but the actual prose, the format, the way it's laid out is very bad. Because remember, what we want to do is talk about what we have achieved academically, what we have achieved extracurricular activities wise, what we have achieved in terms of maybe social activities that we have done. And we want to tie that in to our story, our vision of why we want to study that particular course at that particular university, and why that particular university is going to help us realize that vision we have for the future. So it's all about tying in what we've done to what we want to do, i.e. study in that particular university, that particular course, and how that's going to influence the future. I would have showed you what I'm trying to do with my hands on a slide, but maybe we can do that some other time. Because remember, SOPs are extremely important. They are extremely undervalued, underrated, but the reason that we get the most scholarships out of everyone in the UK is because we know what the importance of that is. Now, let me explain to you. If somebody's name is, I can see somebody's name over here is Tuhina Tomona, right? And somebody else's name is Rahul Das, right? It doesn't matter what your name is. If Rahul Das has 70% and Tuhina has 70%, what am I gonna, as an admissions tutor at the university, how am I gonna differentiate between both of you? You both have 70%. Your name doesn't make little difference to me. You know, I could say, oh, Rahul sounds more boring and Tuhina sounds like a more interesting name, right? Don't worry, Rahul, I'm also a Rahul. But obviously as part of the admissions process, that is not what I'm going to do. Your name doesn't make a difference. However, what does make a difference is your supporting documents. How do I make that difference? Remember, it's not just Rahul and Tuhina. It's going to be, you know, could be anybody, you know, Shang Jiang from China. It could be anybody, right? You know, I don't know, somebody from Iran or Saudi or anywhere in the world. You're competing as international students. You are competing with everyone, not just your fellow Indians, but international students from all over the world, right? When they equate everything down, what is going to make me as an admissions tutor give you that top admission or that seat into my university out of the amount of seats that I have? What it is your SOP. What it is your LORs. What it is what extracurricular work achievements you have done. So all of that comes into the mix, but how well you write it in your SOP is what is going to make the difference. And remember, I am an admissions tutor. I have to read all those SOPs. If it's going to be a 1,000 word, 1,500 word SOP, I'm never going to read it. But if it is a 500 word, 600 word SOP, which very, very cleverly, very, very concisely explains what I have done, what I want to do, why I want to do it at that university, and how that's going to set me up for the future. And I've said it very briefly. That is what is going to be the difference between you even getting that admission or you getting that admission with a large scholarship. Okay, so just so that you know, an SOP is your statement of purpose. In Germany, it's called an LOM, letter of motivation, right? Your LORs are your letter of recommendation. That can come from a teacher, academic teacher, a cricket coach, a charity head that you may have done some community service with, etc. So remember, bear in mind, that is your application. That is who you are, other than just your marks. So don't just focus on your marks. Remember, that's the big chunk of what we have to put to the university so that they can make the decision about you as a student. I really can't stress that enough. I don't want to take too much more of your time. I can't share my slide now, so perhaps next time when we do this, if we do this a second time, I can show you in more detail what it costs, what the different tuition, what the different fees are for accommodation in London and outside of London, what the fees are, and then we can calculate. I mean, I did a rough calculation with you guys anyway, at about 20 to 23, 24 lakhs, depending on if you're outside of London, inside of London. It's similar in Germany. The fees are just maybe, but then it's fees times 2 for Germany because it's a 2-year master's most of the time, right? So we show all of you those calculations. Remember, I'm going to sum up a little bit about Admissify just very, very briefly. Within everything, I've talked about how we help you. But what I want you to do is potentially download the app. It's available on iOS. It's available on Android. Okay, it's free to download. We have done a lot of hard work. There's more than 3,400 universities on the app itself in 11 countries. There's student reviews on all of those universities, a lot of the degree programs that are available, pictures of the university, what the fees are, what the, I'm going to go, somebody asked about IELTS, so I'm just going to cover 2 minutes on IELTS as well before I go. The app is free to download. It's free to use. You can ask any one of the counselors, or you can ask a question on the app itself, and someone will get back to you on the app. Or remember, if somebody wants to then listen to maybe a bit more of me, you can go on the Admissify. There's two Admissify groups: Admissify Northeast and Admissify. Go to Admissify proper, not Admissify Northeast, and under the video section, there'll be videos of me doing likewise webinars that like this. This is a closed one, but you can replay those and watch those. They are quite long, so I'm sorry, but I mean, if you are very serious about it, I have gone through a lot of COVID. You can fast forward the COVID stuff, or in fact, if you want to, you can see how it developed, because some of these started back in, I started doing these back in May. April, end of April, and at that time it was peaking in the UK, and I was saying that, you know, it's going to come down and it's going to be India's turn next and whatever not. But anyway, as far as IELTS is concerned, remember, it's not just IELTS. For the UK, we actually work very hard to get you IELTS waivers. So sometimes you don't even need to do your IELTS exam, right? Particularly if your SOP is written very well and you're applying for a master's and your bachelor's was in English and it was in, you know, a recognized university. Or in fact, indeed, if you're going for your bachelor's and your in bachelor's, mostly they do want IELTS, but you know, again, we can apply for a waiver for you, so you don't actually have to do it. But what I would suggest is it's always better to have it, particularly if we are going to apply for a scholarship for you. It's better to have it, right? So, but remember, at the moment, I know that like, you know, a month or two ago, IELTS was not doing online exams. Now they are. We actually have a free demo session, and we have IELTS master faculty. So to be a certified master faculty for IELTS, you have to be certified by the British Council. The faculty that we use, i.e. the teachers that we use, the trainers, they are certified by the British Council, and they're called master faculty, right? So their level of teaching is much higher. But again, you guys are from the Northeast. Your standard of English is much higher. So for a lot of the time, we will be able to apply for a waiver for you. And if you don't want to do an IELTS exam, you can do a TOEFL exam from home. That's easy. And or a PTE. That is all the same. You don't have to have an IELTS. An IELTS or a PTE or a TOEFL, it's all the same. We will make it work. But you know, I mean, this is a big compliment to you guys. This is why we work so hard to get you guys a scholarship, and why most of our scholarship winners are indeed from the Northeast itself, from as a percentage. You know, like, let's say we do, you know, 100, I think we do 100 plus applications from the Northeast into the UK every year. Of that, about 40%, 30 something, 37 or 38% get scholarships, right? And higher ones. Otherwise, about 50% get scholarships, but a few of them are bursaries. So bear that in mind. Bursaries are also something that we apply for. If we are unable to get your scholarship, we apply for bursaries. Bursaries are entirely different. Nobody does that in India. We do that here from our UK office. A bursary is a means-based scholarship, basically, rather than an academic-based scholarship. So when we say the word scholarship, that means it's actually on an academic level. So we're working on your application. We're making your SOPs really good. We're weighing up your application, i.e. we're making your application from silver to gold. So it weighs much more, it shines much more, it stands out much more. It's there in making you giving you a lot more weight. But however, let's say they turn around and say, okay, we don't want to give them a scholarship, right? Or that unfortunately, you have not qualified for a scholarship this time. Then our London office takes over and we start applying for means-based bursaries. And what they are is basically funding based on the fact that you're from a developing part of the world, i.e. India, and then from a developing part of India, i.e. the Northeast, so that we ask that because you are from this developing part of the world, we want a means-based scholarship. All that means is money off. But you can, you know, and in those times, at least we get 1,000 to 2,000 pounds off on a bursary. So bear that in mind. We are there with you every step of the way, from your application stage through to after you've applied. We don't let go even then if you don't get a scholarship. We go for them then from our London office. Even then, we're there with you once you arrive over here. We are the #1 for accommodation. We are the first and #1 accommodation provider in the whole of India for the UK and Germany and Europe, basically. So bear that in mind. The amount of students that we do accommodation for is next to none. We started, in fact, the accommodation. We used to provide, you know, all the other consultants you may have heard the names of. It was us that used to provide accommodation for all of them in the UK and Europe. Now we don't. Now we only provide it for ourselves. So, and our students. So bear that in mind. But anyway, as far as the cheapest and best accommodation options are concerned, we have your back as far as that's concerned, right? So, and then in terms of your postgraduate placements, remember there's no other company that has an office here in the UK itself, based in London, that is going to be doing your referencing, giving you internships. We give you a guaranteed internship. It can be paid or unpaid. Most of the time it is unpaid, I'm going to be honest. But the certificate will help you get a job anyway. That is a massive, massive part of the recruitment process. So do bear that in mind, right? That an internship certificate from a UK-based company, somebody as old as our company, will make a big, big difference, okay? As part of your employment process. So that's all, guys. I don't, Swed is able to share his screen. How come I'm not? Can I do that? Oh, I'm not allowed. Okay. Anyway, I guess it's a bit, I've covered a lot of the stuff. I guess maybe not too much point sharing my screen with you guys now. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. The app, I think somebody, let me just go through the chat quickly because somebody asked, what's the name of the app? The name of the app is Admissify. Let me just put that in the group so that everybody can see that. ADMISSIFY. Remember, just a quick reminder of how you spell Admissify. It's how you spell admission, right? But you remove the ON and you add the FY, if that is an easy way of remembering it, okay? So the name of the app is Admissify. If you have an iPhone, you can find it in your app store. If you have an Android phone, you can find it in the Play Store. Again, it's free to download. You can ask any question to the counselor you have there and then. Our new version of the app, remember that is our first version. It's been out for more than 2 years. But our updated version of the app will be coming out nearer the end of the year. And in that, you will be able to actually interact with all of your students, past, present, and future, right? So you'll actually be able to have really nice groups and talk to people, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you guys want, I would, if you have the time and you are very serious, I would very much recommend you go to our Facebook page. I'm actually, if you don't mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share a link with you guys here itself. Give me 1 second. Will be of the page itself that you want to go to, where you can see what the videos are, and you can just watch it. Similar to this, but obviously it's a little bit more concise. If Swed is there, is Swed there?
Yes.
Would you like to just sum up anything else while I'm just getting this link?
Yes. Sorry, just to show that, to inspire you people, I have just shared my screen. Just a few of our students whose creatives are here with me, and are specifically from Guwahati, Jorhat, Tejpur, who have made to fulfill their dream by getting 50 to 100% scholarships. So like someone has gone for marketing, one of them has gone for biomedical science, ranging from electronics and communication engineering.
I think you are sharing a folder. You're not sharing. Look at what you're sharing. You haven't. Yeah, just unshare that. Oh, by the way, maybe if everybody can look on the chat, you can see the link there. That's facebook.com/Admissify. And in the Admissify page, you just go to videos. Okay, yeah. I mean, Swed, if you've got the pictures of the scholarship or anything else that you wanted to share there, you can do.
Okay.
But you were sharing, just by the way, you were sharing maybe your window with, yeah, there we are.
Can
Yeah,
you see
got
this
it.
now?
Yeah, that's it. Lipika Bora.
Bora, she is a gold medalist holder from Northeastern Hill University. She has completed her graduation last year in bachelor's in biomedical engineering from Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, and
She got
has done
50%.
an 8 months internship. And currently she has been placed in University College Dublin with a VV Giri, her 50% tuition fee of Global Excellence and VV Giri scholarships together the name. Right.
Fantastic. Do you have any more? I know that we just
Yes,
had some of
I
these
do have
creatives
few
made.
more just to wind up.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you can just flick through it very quickly, then let's do that. Because I know that we have had these creatives made for some of the scholarship winners. Because again, guys, remember we have to apply for permission. As long as these students approve, then we can show you this creative, which is why they all have obviously approved. But there are many other scholarship winners that are slightly more embarrassed and don't like
Yes.
their photo to be shared. But so we are sharing the ones that are more confident.
I hope you can see another student who is currently going to pursue her master's from University of Sussex in gender studies. So another student from humanities and social science.
That's another 50% scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few 100% scholarship winners as well, don't we?
Yes.
Do you have those guys? I remember 100% scholarship, guys, is extremely difficult to get. It's very rare as well. In fact, one of our winners this year got awarded at last year got awarded at the British High Commission in Delhi. So she had a standing ovation there. She received her scholarship 100% over there as well. I've forgotten her name now, Swed. You probably remember.
Yes, she was from a university of Guwahati itself, Royal Global University. She managed to get the British Council's 100% women scholarships. There are few scholarships even for women, which are completely funded by the UK universities themselves.
Absolutely. Okay.
Anyways,
go ahead. You wrap up, and then I'll wrap up.
We are available at your, like, you can put up the inquiries. Rahul has already told us about the app. So at your comfort from your home, you can download the app, put your queries. We will reach out to you. My team would be trying to get back to you guys to know your initial queries. I will be there to be directly in touch with individual cases rather than attaching you people to any other people also, right? Even Rahul is there to help you guys, to guide you getting the rightful scholarships and the information regarding any countries, possibilities of the work opportunities, what would be the scenario after this COVID situation, which we all are facing together. And with this, I wind up and thanking you everyone, and stay safe, stay indoors. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Also, we can do one thing.
Yes.
We can collect all the information or the questions which these students have.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Definitely.
after COVID, y'all can visit our university and then you can clarify them as
definitely. I had a word with one of your sir, like Sunanda sir, on this. So where sir was very interested to know more on the details I had discussed. So, and with your interest shows the keenness that we have been able to help you guys to some extent in a better way.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. There's lots of thank yous coming through over here. It's very humbling and very kind. I think we could have done a little bit better. It's normally, if you watch some of the videos on Facebook, you might understand, but we actually have some closed Zoom sessions. I don't know, Ms. Bora, whether you might want to have a catch-up session next time or another session before COVID is finished, in which we can answer some of the questions that the students have asked, because they're very specific questions and it's a little bit harder. Of course, you can engage us through the app, or if you have any issues with the app, or you don't have enough memory or whatever it might be, then on our Facebook page itself, you can have an instant message. So that means there's Messenger on there. So you can just pop a question to us. We're a little bit slower to respond on Facebook Messenger than we are on the app, but we will respond. But some of the reason why I'm very thankful for this session is because some of the questions that you guys ask gives us an opportunity to answer a couple of other questions which come off of that question. And that answer doesn't just benefit you as the inquirer, it benefits everybody else who's listening to that answer as well. And that's why I thank you guys for your questions, because it's not just the question for you, it's actually information which is going to be valuable to everybody else who's participating, which is why these sessions are so fruitful and so beneficial for everybody here. I would have loved to go through some of those questions, some more of the questions. I was just trying to answer some of the ones that I could see. But again, I know there was a PhD one that I missed, but again, I think we could handle that more on an individual basis. So the person with the PhD question, if you could ask us that on either Facebook directly or through the app, we'll talk to you about it, because it's quite complicated. To go into that will then mean that it's not so applicable to every other student here. So I will of course go into that in more depth, or Swed will at more time. But guys, I just want to finish off by saying this. It is very important to be brave. Warren Buffett, most of you guys may have heard of the name Warren Buffett. If you have not, he is the world's best investor. He is a billionaire. He's probably the world's in the top 3 or 4 richest people in the world. You won't have heard his name very often because he's very humble, very modest, and he hasn't made a company. His company is called Berkshire Hathaway, right? It is the largest investment company in the world. And what Warren Buffett says, he says, when all else are fearful, be brave. And when all else are brave, be fearful, right? And the moral of that story is that when everybody else is thinking, oh, it's COVID, it's COVID, it's COVID, what shall we do? Let's not do anything. Be brave. The reason being is because, as I was saying back in May, as I'm saying now, we have that peak for us in Europe was then at the beginning of April. We are now at an R rate below 1, and we have opened up lockdown. Unfortunately, India started its process a lot later, so it's still on an exponential increase. But regardless of that, even if you are worried about, oh, will there be flights or will there not be flights? Remember, to apply to the university is free. You do not have to pay a deposit, right, to the university, but at least you have your offer in hand. If I have my offer in hand, I can decide whether I want to go to the university in September or not. Already the start is normally for September intake is the end of September. Now it is going to be the beginning of October. So it's already a couple of weeks delayed anyway, right? However, if you decide that you don't want to go in September or October, when you have your offer, we can defer your entry until January, right, for masters. So bear in mind, at this time, the universities are giving more scholarships. The offer is easier to get. Have the offer. If you decide you don't want to go in September, we will defer your entry until January. But don't wait to apply until later, when everybody else is got more guts, when everybody else is being braver, and then the competition is much higher. Then there'll be 10 people fighting, or maybe 50 people fighting for one scholarship. Right now, there will only be maybe less than 10 people fighting for one scholarship. Then there will be 100 people fighting for one admission. And now there is maybe 30 people fighting for one admission, right? So at the top universities or Russell Group or whatever we're talking about, I'm just giving you examples. So when the competition is less, let's work hard, let's get your offer, and then you decide what you want to do. The choice is still yours, but there is no point applying when everybody else is going to apply, when there's more competition, when there's no advantage for that. Okay, anyway, that is it. We are here to help you on this side of the world and on your side of the world. In the meantime, look, it is a little bit scary, at least as far as where India is right now. So I would just say, again, be safe, be careful, stay home, always wash your hands for 20 seconds, and be careful, guys. The rest we are here to take care of. Any questions you have, we'll be more than happy to answer. It was really lovely to have you guys and to be with you guys. The Northeast is my favorite part of India. I've had the honor of coming down. I thank Swed for that. Swed has taken me to many universities. So I've been to Assam University, Guwahati University, many other universities, Nehu University. So Shillong, Aizawl, Mizoram, So I've seen your beautiful parts of the world, and I hope to one day see you guys there soon. And in the meantime, you're in Swed's capable hands over there. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege and an honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Peter. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I hope so we can log out, exit on this system, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, students, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone, once again. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.